The next election has been set down, as you know, for the 14th of October. And we're getting ready for it. But should there be a snap election earlier than that, we plan to be ready for that as well. We meet tonight in the heart of the province of Northland, a part of New Zealand deeply embedded in all of this country's history. Maori and then British and waves of new settlers of all sorts of backgrounds, particularly around here in Dargaville, Croatians as well. People here live closer to our international markets than any other province in this country. We've got an export record in the top half, and yet an economic record seriously in the bottom half, and you must be asking yourselves as to how that could be possible. We're a great export province with great potential and opportunity, but down the bottom of the economic heap. And there has to be an answer for that. The answer to that question, of course, is not complex. However, when your province has been neglected and Cinderellaized for decades, with only one exception between 2015 and 2020, the net outcome was inevitable. For nigh on half a century of all sorts of political parties, candidates, MPs and representatives have made you numerous promises. The unacceptable result being that they have just failed to deliver, and look at your province and the evidence is all there everywhere. This is not a criticism of Northlanders, but it's a call for action to do things that need to be done in this part of the country, as I say, closer to our international markets than any part of New Zealand. Northland is in an infrastructural time warp, best evidenced by numerous stopgap measures which can be seen everywhere, with, for example, over 1,000 single-lane bridges in this part of the country, in this electorate. Over 1,000 single-lane bridges. Serious road closures sitting like an albatross around the prospect of our future growth. In the lifetime of many people here, we went from having governments that did things like, for example, bring government print to Northland, the glass works, you remember, the fertiliser works, then the Marsden Point refinery, and then the construction of Northport, the port with the greatest developmental potential in this whole country, and yet has no railway servicing it. Where in the world would you see that? Maybe this is the Mother Teresa Society, because every time they forget you, you keep on loving them. But we're not, are we? All those things that I've talked about happened decades ago, and then we became the forgotten province. From 2015 though to 2020, that briefly changed, and here's the evidence. The railway line between Whangarei and Auckland had 17 tunnels, unable to take containers by rail, because they just weren't deep enough. And nobody is doing a thing about it. Those tunnels have now been deepened and the rail line is being strengthened. And the rail line between Kaipara and Otiria, closed by the former government, is being reopened, as evidenced by the piles of sleepers on the side of the rail line that you will see all the way up here in preparation for renewal. The geotech study linking a new rail line between Marsden Point with the Oakley main line has been completed and now just awaits commitment to be built. In short, Northport will get a train service and link us to the rest of the country. All over maritime Northland, whether it be in the Kaipara, the Hokianga, or the Bay of Islands, new wharf structures have been built, or are being built, put in place in everywhere such as south of Whangarei, Kawaka, and just south of Kerekere here. Roundabouts have been built to give us the modernity this province needs. Then there's the magnificent Waitangi War Memorial Museum, the new mental health facility in Mangaroto, and many water conservation projects, as well as projects for stop banks against flooding. And add also the tar sealing of the Fairburn Road to give access south of Kaipara to, for example, Cooper's Beach, and road resilience projects at the back of Ortidia and for flood mitigation in the Hokianga. These are just some of the recent initiatives since 2015. New Zealand First, it did all that, and a driving force to revive Northland has been the Honourable Shane Jones. Now tell your cousins to stop right there right now and start paying some attention. Because it's their province, their future, and what happens here to be existing in 50 or 100 years is what's critical as we go through the next 6 months of the next election. Born and bred in Northland, he is a nationalist who understands with great acuity the importance of the provinces, the need to grow provincial wealth and employment, thereby uplifting the economic future of so many people living here and who choose to live and make Northland here their home. Now, Shane Jones is a graduate of Harvard University, one of the greatest universities in the world, but he has never forgotten where he came from, or for that matter, how to milk cows. And by gee, in the middle of COVID, when the country was really stuffed, did they not have to rely upon the provinces then? All over New Zealand. But we hardly got over it, and they're back forgetting you, forgetting who you are. And you can make a difference. You know, they say in politics, no good turn goes unpunished. No good turn goes unpunished. And Shane Jones has come in for more than his share of criticism, but Shane has never been, like so many in politics, fast on the lip and slow on the head. You've seen these people making all sorts of political promises, waving their hands around like some miming show while they talk. You asked some politics, you know, some people in politics, and they're quite unbelievable. In New Zealand politics today, so much that passes for political discourse or conversation is sociological psychobabble. And you all know it. And your province is suffering from it. You ask some politicians a question, and they'll try and fill the next 30 seconds with words with more than 5 vowels. You know, we know some big words like wheelbarrow. But no, there'd be 5 vowels, and they're waving their hands around. But in reality, as Shakespeare wrote once, they are much ado about nothing. Or all talk and no action. Action, not talk, is Shane Jones' slogan. When we launched the Provincial Growth Fund, you know, in 2018, our opponents and some in the media called it, of all things given their appalling record of neglect, they called it a slush fund. In essence, that's what they think of you and of your needs and of your province. All over this country we were doing this, building the biggest mussel farm in the whole world, in a Portuguese. And there are countless examples around this country. But no, sitting there in Wellington, with their media bought off and corrupt as they are, they call it a slush fund. Ladies and gentlemen, it's you they're laughing at, not me. Not Shane Jones. It's you they don't care about. And in this election, when you get into that polling booth, in those 5 or 10 seconds, you have to decide that you'll be the master again, and no longer the servant. And that they will become the servant, and no longer your master. You know, as Shane and I were opening these projects everywhere to restore heart to the provinces, our greatest concern was not to get injured in the stampede of other political party politicians trying to exploit a photo opportunity of an event they had contributed precisely nothing to. You'll remember it. The opening of the roundabout just south here. Is it Puketona Junction there? The roundabout. It was so like Shen and I didn't exist. They all wanted the first opportunity, all the speeches, everything. There's no sin like ingratitude, you know. Because Oscar Wilde said they ask without grace and they accept without gratitude. Northland can no longer afford that to be happening to them. You know, there were two very serious headlines in the last 24 hours. The first was the International Monetary Fund says New Zealand has the worst current account deficit out of all 40 advanced nations in the world. The worst current account deficit of all 40 of the advanced nations in the world. Now I know a former politician and leader for a political party said that most people wouldn't know a current account deficit if they fell over it. Already. The second headline was the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's money printing chalked up nearly $20 billion in losses. That's 20,000 million in losses. Against this serious background information, there are news outlets in this country, for reasons best known to themselves, trying to persuade the New Zealand people, as one commentator said, that although our economy is doing badly, so is everyone else's. That's bull dust. Other countries are doing much better than us. And the narrative that they're spinning out of Wellington, sometimes by these tame reporters, is completely and utterly unfalse. In short, as every homemaker, mother or father or anyone doing the budget for the family, as every homemaker knows, we are spending far more than we are earning. That is, in plain language, what a current account deficit really is. And there is a hard road back to recovery that we must all commit ourselves to address, starting right here, right now, tonight. And I hope you are going to become part of it. And if we want to become much less dependent on foreign debt, then we must grow our own wealth, export our way to success, and add value to every industry and investment decision making as we go forward. And Northland's got a lot to offer, far more than people think. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here tonight to tell you the way it really is, the real state of our nation, and the only real way going forward that can provide real hope to the people of Northland and indeed our country. In past times, we have been in the first 2 or 3 nations in the world. In times when we had half the population, building a country the size of Japan or UK, with every modern utility and universities, every modern facility, but with a population of Manchester. And we can be that country again. Mere words won't do that though, but experience and certainty and a proven track record can begin doing just that. New Zealand First wants both of your votes this election in Northland. Not one, both of them. Of course you can say, we'll go back to some other political party. And all we're saying is, so show me their record. Even the good book says by their deeds you'll know them. Or you should know them even better by their lack of work, lack of effort, and lack of achievement. If you don't know when you hit the ground in Parliament where the toilets are, maybe you won't know in 3 years' time. You have to know right here, right now, so this province does not lag any longer. One vote for your electorate vote, and one for your party vote. Tonight we are here to introduce someone who believes in and is committed to your security, your cost of living, you taking responsibility, and above all, your infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, a true voice for the North. Ladies and gentlemen, New Zealand First candidate for Northland, the Honourable Shane Jones.